Last episode of the year for either of my podcasts. I will be back on the other podcast. I alternate the two. So I'll be back on the exclusive career come January 7th. My name is Lisa Edwards. I am the CEO of The Exclusive Career, and I manage both of these podcasts, The Exclusive Career Coach for all things job search, and The Exclusive Career for all things executive leadership, moving up the corporate ladder with the skill set and the competencies that you need to do so. As a reminder, the episode last week on the exclusive career was called The New Rules of Email. And I gave 4 excellent email openers and why they work, as well as 5 that don't work and why that is, to really hopefully up level your email writing game. And that was episode 33. All right. We're going to wrap up the content for both podcasts, especially this one right now. And I want to offer you some tools for managing your thoughts and your beliefs about yourself, the job market, your chances for job search success. This is something that I deal with a lot with clients as their job search goes on longer than they had expected, longer than they had planned or anticipated. And this is, as you know, I've been taking old episodes in the content and bringing it into 2025. And this one, actually, I used very little of the content or substance of episode 23, which was called Attitude Check During the Job Search. I really brought my spin because I have so much more experience in coaching people around this than I did in 2018. I want to start with your thoughts about how long your job search, quote unquote, should be taking. Here's what I see clients do to themselves over and over again. They arbitrarily pick a date out of thin air, often a very unrealistic date. I'm going to have a new job in 2 months at a very high level job. And that's the date that they've decided they're going to be in their new job, right? And that date comes and goes. And I've seen all kinds of responses to that date coming and going. One is they will pick a new, completely arbitrary date because they, for some reason, think that that is going to move them forward better, make them work harder. And while it may incite more work, it may not be the smarter work. So one option is, okay, that date didn't work. Here's another new date. And oftentimes it's kind of like if the first date was 2 months out, then I'm going to go 2 months out with, again, completely arbitrary. The second response that I will see people have is that they can just start beating themselves up for missing that first date that was completely arbitrary in the first place. No one said expect a job. They in all probability did not do any research to come up with a reasonable expectation. They just picked a date and now I'm going to beat myself up. So I'm beating myself up for no reason really at all. And then the third thing I see them doing is keep going with no arbitrary date in mind. Okay, that didn't work. Why did I set that in the first place? And I see that I need some help. So I can look at the job search strategy that I've been engaged in from a data perspective. In other words, as opposed to a drama perspective, I can look at what I'm doing, how much time I'm spending, what ROI I'm getting on the different activities, and I can see where my problem is. Or conversely, I don't know where my problem is, but I know there's obviously a problem. It's not me. It's not something inherently wrong with me as a candidate, and probably not even with the job market. It has to do with how I'm looking for a job. Let me get the professional help that I need to solve this problem. Now, what determines which option someone's going to take? It's the thoughts that you have, and those thoughts are around yourself as a human, yourself as a job search candidate, and yourself as the market as a whole. Those thoughts will affect the actions that you take, which is, of course, going to affect the results that you get. So if you pick another completely arbitrary date, your thought might be something like, I'll work harder if I have a specific deadline to work towards. And as I said earlier, says who? And is harder really the answer? Is it not maybe smarter, more effectively is how I want to work, not necessarily harder, which to me implies that I'm going to put more hours into my job search as opposed to more quality in the hours that I'm already spending on my job search. If you are beating yourself up in response to missing this completely arbitrary date, you might be thinking, I didn't do the right things or enough of the right things to get a new job. And I want to say very clearly, there can be some good outcome in that. Okay, I didn't do the right things, so I can change that. But if you are beating yourself up for not doing the right things, if you're thinking of it like, you idiot, you didn't do the right things, how did you expect to get a job? That is not going to help you. If you look at it with compassion and as data points, we talked about the drama column and the data column. If you look at it as data points, then that's very solvable. All right. So if you are thinking I need to get help, you might be thinking, to kind of go along with what I just said, I'm perfectly capable of landing a great job. I just need some help with blank. Or I just need some help. I'm not sure what kind of help I need. I need someone who can help, can assess and sort of analyze what I've been doing, what results I've been getting, and help me figure out where the problem might lie. Now, I want to be very clear in saying that I'm not suggesting that the only solution, if your job search is quote unquote taking longer than it should, is to get professional help. But I am suggesting that the best effort is to evaluate your current job search strategy and make changes that will affect your outcome. So sometimes people can do that for themselves. Um, and sometimes they feel like, you know what, I cannot see the trees for the forest. I'm so mired in this. I cannot see what is happening around me. I can't see the cause and effect of the things that I'm doing in my job search. I need professional support. Here's what I want to say about all of this. There are lots of rejections inherent in the job search. And that's actually, in many cases, the best possible outcome because for many people, it's just non-responses. I call it crickets, right? You don't hear anything. You're just putting stuff out into the void and have no idea where it's landing. If you believe that those rejections and those non-responses mean you aren't adequate as a job candidate, or that the job market is terrible, you are likely going to do one of a couple things. You're going to pull back on your job search efforts. So I'm just not going to do as much. It doesn't matter anyway, you tell yourself. Or you'll continue with your job search efforts, no strategy change involved, but you won't be showing up as the best version of yourself. Because think about it. If you believe that no matter what you do, you're not going to get a job because I'm not marketable, the job market is terrible, then I'm not going to give my best effort. Why would I? If I know that no matter what I do in this race that I'm running today, this 5K that I'm running, I'm not going to be a top winner. I'm not going to be one of the top people that gets a ribbon, then why would I put in my very best effort? Maybe I just kind of show up and walk, or I mean, I get it done, but there's no energy around it. It's that kind of thing. Any of those options where you believe that it doesn't matter what you do, that the job market is working against you, the world's out to get you, whatever, it's going to reduce your chances for job search success. And what is then going to happen is, so you're going to have another failure, you're going to have another non-response. You're not going to get a job offer, and you're going to see that as evidence that you were right about what you thought about the job market, what you thought about yourself. I see this especially with people, women in particular, who are over a certain age. And I fall into that category. I'm not out in the job market, but I can certainly relate to them. And so what happens is at the outset, oftentimes, they don't really believe that at age X, they are marketable. They're going to have a hard time, they believe. The job market, people don't want to hire people of my age. So they go about their job search in a certain way with that belief, kind of half showing up, putting in half the effort, not doing anything to overcome that belief in themselves or any possible perception by employers. I've noticed that people who believe that tend to show up kind of not looking their best, not dressing their best, not speaking their best because they have this belief. So then they don't get the job offers, they go through an interview, they don't get a second interview, whatever the case may be, then they believe that those results are because they're too old. It's not true. The result is because they believe they're too old, and they are showing up, they are doing certain things and not doing certain things. Now, to be clear, are there some companies who won't hire you if you are over a certain age? Absolutely. There are also certain companies that won't hire you if you're have less than a certain amount of experience, or unfortunately maybe have certain cultural or ethnic background, right? Uh, None of this is legal, but does it happen 100%? So we get to, we have to be realistic here. Yes, there are companies who believe that, but then we are compounding it by actually believing that about ourselves. If we start believing that the color of our skin, that our last name, that our age is diminishing our chances for job search success, I promise you, we are then showing up in a way that will all but guarantee that success. And while we can't make a company that has no interest in hiring us because of those things hire us, nor do we want to work for them, we can increase the chance that those companies that are open to finding the best candidate, end of sentence, full stop, will consider us. So it's important to check your attitude. Your thoughts about yourself throughout the job search are so important. Most people go into their job search with high hopes and confidence, but it's very external. It's based on some hope that they're going to be successful, maybe belief because they've been successful in the past. But when that belief is not fully internalized, they allow the rejections and the non-responses to pull down, lower their hopes, lower their confidence level. The important thing here is for you to double down on your job search. When things aren't working, okay, all right, what's not working? Again, we're in the math column, we're in the data column, not the drama column. What's not working? And I also know that the numbers are a part of the game. So every time I get a no, every time I get a non-response, I'm closer to the yes of my dream job. And that's how successful salespeople think. Okay, I typically get 9 no's for every yes. There's one more no. I'm that much closer to my yes. And I want you to think that way about your job search. And then I want to wrap up with 5 top suggestions for maintaining a positive attitude throughout the duration of your job search. So keeping that level consistent. Number one, it's so important to set daily job search goals and reward yourself regularly for achieving those goals. So, daily goals, one of the things that I work with my clients on is we set up a framework. Okay, what are the strategies? Active strategies, which are networking based, passive strategies, which are job boards, job company websites, all of that. What's the combination? What's the amount of time you're going to spend in each? What are the particular action steps that you're going to take for each of those strategies? And then you break that down into calendaring in what you're going to be doing. So, a daily job search goal, I'm going to reach out to 10 people via LinkedIn about X. So, very smart, right? We've talked about SMART goals. You're familiar with them, I'm sure. And the other part of that was to reward yourself regularly. So daily, if you are job searching daily, reward yourself daily. If you're job searching a couple times a week, each time you do a job search and you have things in your calendar to do, deliverables, I call them deliverables, SMART goals. I'm going to do this much of this. I'm going to follow up with this person. When you've checked off each of those things in that box of time, then I want you to reward yourself. Something small. It could be now I get to go take a walk. Now I get to do my workout. Now I get to call my friend. Now, whatever. The important thing is that you're not waiting until you get the new job to reward yourself, because that's the ultimate reward. And yeah, go have a party about that, but don't wait until then to do that. So set daily job search goals, reward yourself regularly. If this is something that you struggle with, you don't know how to create that structure, I think that's one of the biggest pieces of value that I give my clients, is giving them that structure and helping them to understand how to execute on that structure. So, number two, I want you to celebrate your quote unquote failures. And I use air quotes because I don't believe that the rejections that you're going to get along the way, the crickets, to be failures, but rather opportunities to learn and refine your strategy. Now, is it hard to take anything from not hearing from somebody? Is it hard to take anything from getting just a blanket, uncustomized rejection letter, it's kind of hard to gain much insight, right? But what can I do differently next time? All right, that didn't work, or it's happened. I've done it this way 10 times and haven't gotten any response. What might I try? So it's that sense of having a structure at the outset, but and being willing to refine that structure, try new things, adjust the strategy as you go. You want to celebrate the job that you were offered, but you decided that you didn't want and you said no to. You want to celebrate that the interview you aced didn't get you where you'd hoped it would. It's all part of the process, right? So look at them as learning opportunities. So I always call it winning or learning, but celebrate those failures. Number three, and I talked about this a moment ago, regularly evaluate the ROI of the job search activities you're engaged in. So we start out with 4 to 5 job search strategies in both the action or the active and the passive, and then 2 to 3 action steps for each strategy. And then what I want you to do, depending on whether you're at a full-time job search or a part-time job search, maybe once a month, once a quarter, evaluate those strategies, really looking at them in the data column, the math column. Where am I getting traction? Where am I not getting any traction? And then the important thing at that point is to tell yourself the truth. Am I not getting traction in this area because I'm not really executing on it? Or is it just not the right strategy for me? Or is it the right strategy, but I just need to bring a little bit of a different twist to it? So regularly evaluate the ROI of the job search activities you're engaging in. That's number three. Number four, be willing to seek help with any area that is or that you perceive might be holding you back. The reason I put in the perceive might be is that I have a lot of clients who come to me who haven't interviewed in a while. They have had the same job for X number of years. And so they perceive, without any data yet, because they haven't had job interview one, that that could hold them back. And so if they feel that way, then I want to take that off the table. I want them to have that confidence. Now, for some of them, they want it right up front. And for others, we say, hey, let's get all these other pieces in place and start getting interviews and reach out to me the moment you get your first interview. Let's get some traction around some interview coaching. What I want you to hear me say clearly with whatever area of your job search, strategy, execution, accountability, interview skills, salary negotiation, networking, leveraging LinkedIn, it's a sign of strength and wisdom for you to recognize that that's a problem and to get help working on it. And as I said earlier, if you have no idea what the problem is, then something like the consult that I do with clients, where I really analyze their job search process to the degree that they've been job searching to figure out where the problem might be and to kind of diagnose and give them a treatment option for that. So be willing to seek help for any area that is or that you perceive might be holding you back. And then the final one is when you feel like slacking off or giving up altogether, that's the time to double down. This is where the real growth happens for you, where you have the opportunity to not walk away, but have your own back. Stick to the goal you've set for yourself. Go back to step one. Why am I doing this? Now, again, to be clear, there may be some of you who will do that evaluation. Nothing's happened. It's been 3 months, it's been 6 months, whatever. And I feel like slacking off. I feel like quitting. And you do a very math-based, data-based, drama-free analysis of your effort. And you realize, hey, I actually have realized through this process that I like my job better than I thought I did. Or things have changed in that interim of time at work and I feel better about it. I had a client reach out to me actually from, well, he's Italian, but living in China. And he reached out because things were pretty dire. And I agreed with him that his work situation was pretty dire. And he just reached out to me over the weekend to let me know that he had taken some steps based on my recommendations, talked to some people. He was feeling more hopeful about his job. And he has some other some health related and some timing issues that he feels like would hinder his ability to be an effective job searcher right now. And so he's reaching out to say, okay, I'm feeling better about my current job. I want to stay in touch with you, but now's not the right time. So that's okay. You just want to make sure you're telling yourself the truth. You like your reasons, you feel good about it, you have your own back, and you're not just throwing in the towel. All right, in closing, a reminder that your existing thoughts have created neural pathways in your brain. This is proven brain science. Now, by creating new thoughts, you're not going to erase those pathways, but you can shrink them with a consistent practice of new thoughts. You're not going to create a new neural pathway by thinking something one time, but when you practice it, continuously, that it goes from your conscious brain into your subconscious brain, and it is kind of running the ship. So instead of you not even realizing that you're thinking, I'm not marketable as a candidate, we have now brought that to the forefront. Oh yeah, that's actually what I'm thinking. I'm doing that with compassion. I'm not judging myself. I'm not beating myself up. Okay, what do I want to do about that? I want to start thinking new thoughts, and I want to do it very intentionally. So I'm going to come up with a new thought. Could be a couple thoughts, but one thought can do wonders. That will serve me better in taking the action steps that I need to take to get this new job. So I'm going to become aware when that old thought rears its ugly head, and I'm going to catch it like, thank you. I that's how I used to think. I no longer think that way. No beating yourself up. And then you practice the new thoughts. So what I want to give you is what I like to think of as a wardrobe. I often talk to my clients about when they are learning to think new thoughts about whatever it is we're working on, that I'm going to give them some possibilities. And I want you to think of it as like going into your closet and trying on different outfits till you find the one that is perfect for that situation. So I want you to take the examples that I'm about to give you and feel free to use them as is if they work for you, revise them in some way to work better for you, or maybe these ideas give you the impetus to create completely different ones that you really like. So the important thing, as I said, recognize when the old thoughts come up without judgment, and then consciously practice the new thoughts until they create neural pathways and your brain can efficiently run them on autopilot. So I've got three categories. So the first one is if your negative thoughts center around your marketability, your candidacy. Here are five suggestions. I've got five for each of these three areas. So this one has to do with your marketability. I have been highly successful as a fill in the blank in the past and will be again. So I'm relying on the past to bolster my confidence in moving forward. Another one, I will be a valuable asset to the company fortunate enough to hire me. Another one, I am very good at, name as many aspects of your work as you can. And it's bonus points if you write these things down. So I am very good at, right? Journal, 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 journal. Fill up a page, fill up 2 pages, whatever. So you're focusing on the things that you bring to the table. Specifically, this is useful if you are naming things relative to the job that you want to get going forward. The next one is my previous boss or coworkers or direct reports, fill in whichever one you want, have consistently commented on my, and then list your strengths. What have others said about you? And then finally, I may be age, fill in whatever your age is, but I still have blank number of years left to contribute. So this one's particularly useful for people over the age of about 50, 55, where they start believing that their age is working against them. I may be 58, but I still have 15 years left to contribute. And that's really judged by when you would like to retire, right? All right, so that was thoughts, if you have thoughts centering around your marketability. This next one is if your negative thoughts center around the job market. So what's going on out there, the chances for you or anybody else to get a job. Here's one. I know people in my field who have recently gotten great jobs. So this one works particularly effectively if you can. I know Susan has gotten a job with the exact job title I'm looking for. Bob, just list people and their job titles if you can. Another one, my research shows X of number of jobs open right now in my field. Ask AI. I am applying for a job as a put a job title in there, one of the ones that you're looking for, and ask AI to tell you how many job openings are available. And that's of course only going to pick up those that aren't in the hidden job market. Keep that in mind. And the hidden job market is somewhere between 15 to 25%. In other words, only 15 to 25% of jobs aren't in the hidden job market. So, for example, and math is not my strong suit, but do the math. If the research shows 1,200 jobs open in your field, and you can narrow it if you want to by geography or whatever. You could even put your resume in there if you want to. And if it says that there are 1,000 jobs available, 1,200 jobs, and I know that that's only at no more than 85% of the, or 15% of the total job market, then I can do the math on how many actual jobs. I screwed that whole section up. Hope you get the idea. I've talked a lot about the hidden job market. Here's another one. There are jobs. I just have to refine my strategy and land a great one, right? So it's not a mystery. I may not know what I need to do to define my job strategy, refine my job strategy, but at least I'm thinking in the right direction. I know that I need to refine my job search strategy. Here's another one. An evaluation of my job search strategy shows I am getting the most traction doing blank. So I will spend more time in this area. So I'm going to take a step in the right direction. I know where I'm getting traction. I'm telling myself the truth. I'm in that math, that data column. And here's the final one. I will seek help with my job search, starting with, and this could either be like starting with reaching out to colleagues to get recommendations, researching online, doing AI, getting help from AI, whatever it is, take a step to get more help. So that's if your negative thoughts center around the job market. And then the final one is if your job search has you thinking negative thoughts about yourself as a human. And this is the part that's really destructive because we are, instead of looking at our job search and judging our job search, our job activities, or the job market, which is kind of external, we're beating ourselves up as human beings. Super destructive. And I promise you, if you're doing this, it's going to be showing up in other areas of your life as well, like with your relationships. So the first one is I am an excellent, and then fill in area of your life outside of work where you are confident in your abilities. So take it out of work. I am an excellent decorator. I am excellent at. I am an excellent baker, right? Be as specific as you can. I recommend journaling this as well. Next one, I am loved by, and name people who love you, that you know love you, family, friends. Another one, my friends frequently comment on my, and then list a positive aspect, two, three, whatever you have. Positive aspects of you. They comment on my sense of humor. They frequently comment on my style. They frequently comment on what a great hostess I am. Keep this out of the realm of work. Let's be humans. The next one is things in my life that bring me joy include and list them. This is a regular practice I do and I refine it every so often. And then I use that list to remind myself when I'm feeling like there's not enough joy in my life. It serves two great purposes. Number one, maybe I do have more joy and I'm just thinking my thoughts aren't joyful. There's joy activities. I'm not perceiving them as joy activities. And then the second thing that could happen is I'd be like, yeah, I've moved away from these things that bring me joy because I've been too busy at work, been depressed, been whatever. I'm going to pick one of these things and I'm going to make sure that I do it every week. So that one was things in my life that bring me joy. List them, write them down. And then finally, I am worthy. My worth is not dependent on my job title or employment status. I am worthy. My worth is not dependent on my job title or employment status. And I hope that one really sticks with you. I think 2025 has been a challenging year for many of us. I certainly include myself in that. I hope for a better 2026 better results in 2026, better health, and greater success. And I wish that for all of you as well. So I will see you around the middle of January with the first episode in the new